welcome back to Nerdly Out Loud. As you all know, we are the official channel of nerdly.co.uk, your favourite British website for the news, reviews and exclusive interviews. We like to cover everything from the big budget to the low budget to the no budget, with a special keen interest on the lower end of the scale. And tonight I have got with me, it's not a review, it's not a Twitch stream, it's not wrestling, it's not any of that. Tonight I've got an actor who I've been dying to speak to for a number of years. I've done many reviews on this lad's films. I have got the up-and-coming maestro that is Sam Gittins. How are you doing, Sam, tonight?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, like I say, this has been bubbling away for a while. Anybody who does know of Sam, you will have seen him in movies such as Awaiting Further Instructions, which was a great little flick that came out a few years back and kind of low-key smashed it, you know. It got a lot of buzz and did really well, especially on the fests as well. And of course you were up in there, and then you got the Wolves of War, Giles Alderson, good friend of this show. We like a bit of Giles, and not gonna lie, the Irish accent, mate, work on it a touch more.
It went very Conor McGregor towards the end of the film.
It did a little bit. You started to enjoy being Irish, I will say.
Yeah, very much so. Very, very much so.
And when you come in on that big, beautiful horse, it's like, oh yeah, he's loving this now.
Yeah, oh God, yeah. What a character, though. What a character to play.
We will jump onto that in a little bit. And of course, a movie that I adored, and everybody will know that I adored, the movie Break, which you were the lead in. You know, you couldn't miss you. You were in every scene. We will talk about that soon. And of course, Cos Greenup's new movie, The Last Heist, which is, I believe it's out now on streaming. It's available now or next week. It's floating around anyway. And,
it's out, yeah. I think you can buy it now, yeah.
First of all, Sam, I want to jump back a little bit, and I want to ask the question that all boring interviewers ask, and that is, how did you get started? How did you come into the film industry, and why would you do it?
It was kind of a culmination of things. I was like a bit of a class clown in school, which is a bit of a trait in a lot of actors by the sounds of it. And just a lady at my primary school suggested to my mum that I go to the Brit school for secondary. And we went and checked it out because it was only around the corner from our house, and it was just in Croydon. We weren't far from there. And you couldn't go there till you were like 14, 15. So my mum like held on to this tiny bit of paper that said the Brit school on it for like 5 years, until however long it was, 4 years, until I could go. And by that point I was like, no, I'm going to be a boxer now, and I'm mucking around in school and whatever. But my mum was like, you should go. And I sort of went and loved it because it was really cool. Loads of different types of people there, loads of girls there. Which, you know, for every teenage boy, you want to go there rather than a boys' school, don't you? But then slowly through my world opening up, fell in love with acting and fell in love with the process, and decided that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And that was kind of it. From there, it was just a case of, right, do I want to work or do I want to go drama school? Let's try and work, see what happens. And luckily for me, it slowly snowballed into regular work, and I've got the sort of, not the luxury, but the privilege to be able to pick projects now and enjoy, you know, a lot of amazing projects. Yeah, that's kind of it, really.
So
there's no hero's arc there.
it's not the typical answer of, I was watching movies through a hole in the roof at the cinema and I just fell in love with the actors on the big screen.
Yeah, I don't have anything. I'm just sort of a bloke that quite liked it a bit.
But as a youngster, did you like, were you a film fan? Were you into movies, or was it just something that was kind of like, yeah, I'll watch a film, but...
Yeah, no, the actual experience, I've got 2 early memories of film that kind of made me realise that film was what I wanted to do more than anything else. And that's, one was my dad took me and my brother when we were really young to go and see Star Wars. Nice. At the time, I thought Star Wars had just come out, but obviously I'm not that old. So in later years, I kind of twigged it must have been some sort of special screening at the local cinema, maybe an anniversary or something. But I just remember being absolutely blown away with the whole cinematic experience. And then the other one was like I stayed up late, and you remember you used to have to flick through the channels. Not everything was on demand.
Yeah.
You kids listening to this won't know.
Google it.
Good, yeah, Google what channel hopping is. But yeah, I just remember sort of channel hopping late at night, and for some reason I've been allowed to stay awake, and I found Goodfellas, and from that point onwards, like I was just finding every, Mean Streets, every Scorsese film I could find, and that led to Tarantino's, and then it led to Darren Aronofsky, and just crazy, like just when you go into proper, film world, and then from there, just then you go down the back road of the indies and stuff. So yeah, it was another pretty average story of getting involved with film, but that I've always been a film lover, and that's always been what I wanted to do.
And as you just said, you were a pretty keen boxer in your youth, and from everything I've seen on your Instagram, you still train now. Is boxing still very much a part of your life, or is that sort of just like I'm focusing completely on the movie career and just I'll train every now and then?
It'll always be part of my life. I think boxing gives me discipline. I mean, I like to have a beer at the weekends, and I like to go and watch the football, and there's other things I like doing, but I certainly find that if I need to meditate, that's hitting a bag or sparring with a friend or doing some pads or something, that just because it kind of keeps your body in good shape, it keeps your head sharp between the ears, and if you can do it without getting punched in the face so much, then it's a win-win. But it'll always be part of my life because I just did it through the entirety of my teenage years and young adult years. So it's something that it's kind of like my North Star. I go back to it when I'm maybe feeling down or something.
And you didn't really go down the traditional route. It's more learn on the job kind of experience for you.
Yeah, 100%, and also learn on other jobs. I've done so many. I'm a jobbing actor, and I'm very proud of it. I think a lot of actors nowadays pretend that all they've ever done, I went from this job to that job, when really, 6 months in between, you were on a building site, or you were in a call center, or you were waiting tables. And I've done all that and more, and done some pretty intense in between jobs, and, coached boxing and stuff like that, just to, sort of keep yourself busy and earn some money in between acting jobs. And I think I've learned a lot about acting doing that, just being in different environments with different types of people, and just seeing the real world, as we call it. But that, and as you say, once you get on set, I think you learn more in a day on set than you do, from 5 weeks at school, because it's like skiing. If you're on the hill, you're going to have to get down, aren't you? So you better learn.
And a little bit on that, the job an actor, it's like looking at your IMDb, you kind of started out like a lot of the British guys kind of start out. You did a little bit of Holby City, done a little bit of EastEnders, and correct me if I'm wrong, did you not batter the guy from Blue in that EastEnders?
I'd love to say yes, but he done me.
Nah.
I think he done me.
History doesn't remember it that way. History does not remember it that way.
Yeah, my mates do though.
And then of course you were in The Smoke, which was a great series when it came out.
Yeah.
A lot of talent in there who've gone on to become massive. Like it's great to, when you look back at that show. It's funny when you look back at those shows that were, at the time, just like, that show on Channel 4 or that show on whatever. And you look back at it now and you're like, holy shit, they were there. It's great to see those.
I feel very lucky to have worked with some of the legends. I mean, Jodie, who I had just the biggest crush on at the time, I was only like 20, and just like kind of more of an actor's crush. Like, I just thought she was so amazing and so cool that I just was in awe of her. And then she just ends up going on and on to do Doctor Who, and every time I see it, she's doing something amazing. I just think, wow, she's just an incredible person. And then you've got Pippa, who, again, she just pops up every time I turn the telly on, I think. It's not a thing she isn't in, and it's all good stuff as well. And of course, Taryn, who was just such a wonderful person and was quite instrumental to me moving to United, which is a major agency.
Taryn's kind of the exception to the rule. Nobody remembers him.
Yeah, no one really remembers him. I think he's still acting. But
I heard he was out there, but
yeah. But yeah, no, he's great. He was just such a lovely person. I was just really lucky to work with all those people, to be fair.
And then, of course, the first time that I really kind of got an idea of who you were as an actor was, like I said, the low key kind of breakout smash that was Awaiting Further Instructions, which was just an incredible little movie that, you know, probably shouldn't have done as well as it did, but it absolutely just smacked. And
it really
would
did.
you
It's really good.
would you say that that was around about the time that you'd maybe decided, right, it's features now, because you've done a lot of TV and it's like, we're going to do features, we're going to move forward, I'm going to be the big movie star, this is the way we're going now? Or was that already in motion for you?
I think what I really liked was, and even doing like a limited series like The Smoke, and what I've always really liked is having a job that has a start and an end. So using EastEnders as an example, when they turned around and said, you know, we'd really like you to do a longer stint, I ended up turning it down respectfully, of course, just because at the time what I decided is I really liked, and still do really like, a start and a finish, and that sense of achievement and being able to let something be. And Away Further Instruction, I mean, God rest Johnny, who's sadly no longer with us. Lovely chap, but he really cared about that film, and he cared about all the characters in the film. You know, again, some amazing actors in that who I think probably deserve, you know, just as much credit as the ones we mentioned earlier. You know, you got Holly Weston, who was amazing, Chris Sadler, Grant Masters, wow. And, you know, and then of course we have David Bradley and stuff in it, which was as well, which is really, really cool. But like, just really loved that film. Really loved that film. The whole experience was great.
When you guys were making that, because I think sometimes you might get an inclination that, you know what, there's going to be like a little section of the fan base that are going to latch onto this and it's going to take off. Was there any sense of that when you guys were on the set of that film?
No, we thought it was absolutely mental, and we were having we were having so much fun on that film that I don't think any of us knew that it was like going into a whirlwind and coming out. And it was all shot in a studio. So we were in a studio in, I want to say, Budworth in York, so like a little village in Yorkshire, and just having a wonderful time for 5 weeks. It was an amazing crew as well. So we had no idea. But when it came out, just every time I got a phone call, you know, I was doing Fright Fest, or it's going over to Trieste to do the Sci-Fi Festival, or, you know, wherever it was going, it was doing really, really well. And I just thought, wow, this is something. And it's still, I think we were watching TV over Christmas, me and my brother, and the parents had gone to bed, and we were at their house, and we'd had a few beers, and we were flicking through, and it was on the telly, and we were like, this doesn't stop.
It's the new Die Hard. You got to watch it at Christmas.
Yeah, I think it did really well as well, because during the COVID lockdowns, it was like people were thinking, oh my God, they've made this film about lockdowns and about the government saying, you know,
kind of prophesized it.
Yeah, kind of. So it sounds a bit strange to say. We had a bit of a touch with COVID coming in, you know?
I think there was, to be fair though, there's a few films that were coming out just before COVID, or going to be coming out just before COVID. And then because of COVID, it was like, oh, that smack's way different now. There was a couple.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually. Yeah, there was.
A little bit of a curveball for you from the old Awaiting Further Instructions. So, amongst all of this, and you coming into the scene, and you've been on TV for a little bit, you've kind of mentioned some of the people that were around, and then you've decided to start moving into the features. Who is there on the scene that is inspiring you and who is helping you shape the way that you kind of carry yourself within the industry or the career that you want?
Good, really, really good question. So in terms of like people I look up to that I don't know, there's people like Zendaya is one of them, who's just this force of a talent who just does such really amazing projects. And I think I kind of look at her as an example of someone I'd like to be like, just because she leads these incredible series, but also is really classy in the way she does it, and she does these films. She can do Marvel, then she can do Euphoria, and you know, that kind of thing. In terms of people I've been on set with, the late Rutger Hauer was really funny on set, and I want to be like that when I'm his age. like could just knock his things off really easily, could then make funny faces at me when the camera's over his shoulder, but then also could come over to me and just say, try this, and it'd be not like a muggy kind of him trying to tell me how to do my job because I'm younger, but just him offering a little pearl of wisdom and it working. Yeah, and I think Jamie Bamber, I always remember Jamie Bamber being a really good example of how someone should lead a cast. I mean, I joke every time I lead a film, I always make a joke that I'm the head of the acting department. So when people are introducing themselves as head of makeup and head of costume, I always go head of the actors. But you know, there is an actual responsibility, and I remember looking at that when I was about 20 on The Smoke and thinking, yeah, do you know what? He kind of will speak up on behalf of other actors. He'll make sure everyone's, you know, looked after. If there's fire going everywhere, he'll make sure that actually they're thinking about our safety, which they always are. But you know, he just was a really good example of how to basically be a leading actor and a leader among people. So yeah, those I would say spring to mind.
A couple of years ago, I think it was talking about COVID and the pandemic and everything. It was round about 2020. I had the opportunity to sit down with Mr. Michael Elkin and chat about his upcoming movie, which I really, really had a good conversation with Michael. He's a top lad and so honest and open, and that was probably one of my favourite interviews in a while.
Yeah.
One of the things that really stood out to me was how highly and dare I say it, how quite lovingly he spoke of his lead actor, Sam Gittins. How did your relationship with Michael come around, and how did break happen?
It's a good story, actually, to be fair. He came up to me when I was working in a call centre in Canary Wharf. That any jobbing actor in London who's around my age has probably gone through the doors of at some point. A place called RSVP. I know a lot of people watching me go, oh yeah, that guy. Out of all the call centres you could work in, I worked in a couple. It's actually not that bad. They're really respectful for actors and stuff, and they do a good job of trying to make the job bearable for you. And you know, you're young, and I think I was about 18, 19, just trying to make a few quid to spend on a Friday. And he was there. What was he doing? He was meeting with someone. He wasn't working on the phones or anything. He just happened to be there. He might have been doing a bit of handiwork or something. And we met, and he said, I'm writing this script about a snooker player, because we'd been talking in the pub, and I think I boxed in the area he lived in, and we knew some of the same people. And yeah, he just said, look, you'd be perfect for the lead in this script. It's about this young, plucky South Londoner who's trying to do something for himself, but he's from a working class background and what have you. And he just said, yeah, you'd be great for it. And I said, well, okay, mate, yeah, send it over. And you, whenever anyone in this world says that to you, you think that'll never happen, especially at that age, because nothing had happened to me yet. A couple of shorts and a couple of episodes of Holy City. I thought, no, I'm never going to be in a film. And then about 4 years later, he resent me the script and said, it's being made. And he said, I've always thought of you. I thought of you through all the rewrites. You know, I'd got to know him a bit better by then. And he said, yeah, I think you'd be great. So we spoke for the next few months. And then the Money had said to him, look, there's this new actor on the scene called Taron Egerton, funnily enough, who we'd like to know. Yeah, but I'd just finished working with Taron, so I would have texted him saying, listen, pause off. You've got Rocket Man. Leave this one alone. But no, it was one of the things where they said, we'll pull the money if you don't give us the right to change Sam to lead. And he said, pull the money. So he lost all the money to make Break, and it took him another 2 years. And then we kind of were together on it, and I went on some meetings with him, and he brought in Terry Dwyer and Dean Fisher as producers, and they really helped push it over the line. And 2 years later, we finally got there. Actually, we didn't. Tell you what, and I'm waffling on now, but the night before the table read, another group of people pulled the money, and we had to go again. So we finally got there, I think 7 years after I agreed to do it. So we went on a bit of a journey together, Michael, and he's actually a terrific actor as well as a director. Yeah. We've worked together as actors, and he helps me tape sometimes, and vice versa. And just, yeah, I've got a lot of love for him. You don't come across too many incredibly loyal people in this industry, people who would look out for you without asking. And, you know, I think that works both ways. And also, he's just a brilliant director, and yeah, I won't gush about him anymore.
Especially
I don't
like
this and know that I like him.
I know he'd done some like writing work and everything, and he'd done like a short or two, but Break was like his first directorial feature, which
Yeah,
it still amazes me. And I'm not saying like first time directors can't make great films, but
no,
Break is not only a great story and everybody in it is fantastic, but it looks amazing. Like there's no real wasted time in that movie. It just
incredible.
I just think it's a great film, and I do gush about it quite a bit.
No, I struggle to watch most things. Not in that kind of, actory way, where they go, oh, I can't watch myself because
The Johnny Depp way.
yeah, just like whatever, like you know what you're doing, give it a watch. I always give it a couple of watches, but because I know what's going to happen, and because like I was there, like I struggle to sit there and pay attention. But that film, I haven't watched it more than a couple of times, but I would always watch that and smile fondly because we were really in it for that. We were in the trenches for that, and I think it shows on screen.
And apart from being kind of a cheeky chappy, sort of, a bit of a Londoner and all that, what was it about you that you think Michael saw that thought this would be the perfect lad to play Spencer? And what was it about the character that made you think I am the perfect lad to play him?
I don't know. It's one of the things. I don't know. I can't speak for him in terms of what he saw in me initially, because it still flabbergasts me when anyone wants to stick their neck out for me. Like I've had a film once change its dates for me, and it just blew me away. I just thought, well, they'll just get someone else. So I struggle really with it. From my point of view, I don't think I'm any different to what another actor maybe could have done. So I don't know what he saw basically, but when I saw the character, I could really relate to a kid from a really normal background. Yeah, just wanting to be an actor among all my friends who were boxers and footballers. When you first say it as a kid and I'm going off to a Brit school now, I'm not going to stay at the normal school or all that. Yeah, you get some stick and you get people laughing at you is the main thing, because they're not trying anything different. And that I really related to in the film. And I thought, I can blow that up to its extremity. And obviously Spencer's situation was a lot more extreme than mine, but that I really related to. And just having a dream that's really hard to stick to and to keep, and to keep going with, that's kind of what I really related to on the film.
And Michael also told us, or told me, that between takes and stuff, you didn't beat him at snooker once. I need to know, is that the truth?
Yeah, that is the truth. He's actually all right at it. Do you know what was weird with me? They did a bit of I can play pool fine. Yeah. Snooker's a different story. And they got me a coach and a trainer, and you had like David Wembo and his coach on set. And then but still, when Michael was taking shots in between takes, there weren't like 200 people waiting to make sure I got it so we could move on. So the pressure was a little bit different. I remember that all literally 200 extras erupting when I finally nailed this little black ball in the corner. And the most embarrassing thing was the guy before me had potted every other colour in one go, and twice. So yeah, I wasn't by any stretch a sophisticated snooker player by the end of it, but I did get better at pool.
And one of the other things I wanted to touch on is, and I spoke to Michael about this a little bit at length, was the relationship between yourself and Luke Mabley in the movie, as your dad. For me, that relationship was heartbreakingly real and realistic, and you guys absolutely nailed it. Like I won't get too deep into it, but me and my father, we didn't have the best relationship ever. And watching that movie, this isn't really a question. It's kind of more of a tip of the cap. I thought you guys nailed that, and it made me feel kind of uncomfortable in ways because I'm sat there going, shit, I don't like this. So
yeah.
Again, not so much a question, but it was another reason that I just think that movie's great, and I wanted to point that out. But again, not a question, just a
it's a nice thing. It's a nice thing to hear that scene between me and Luke when we were outside in the car park and he sold his van. That's my favourite scene of the movie, I think. And I'm really pleased to hear that it touched you, because that's what it's all about, really. I'm very, very lucky that I had a good relationship with my dad, but he didn't so much with his dad, and I had friends who didn't with their dad. So I know that it's important to represent these things in a way that, you know, can be meaningful for people like yourselves.
It's one of those things, you're just watching a movie about snooker and gangsters, and then you throw some hard-hitting shit like that. I'm like, really? Really? I was enjoying this a minute ago. But quick little sidebar again. I don't really like the term jobbing actor, but you wear it on your sleeve proudly, and I'm glad you do, because you know there's a lot of jobbing actors out there, and you don't really get to hear the ins and outs or the full stories of what these guys are going through. But what is it that gets Sam Gittins to just keep pushing through, keep punching through, drives you, keep chasing those roles and hitting the pavement? What is it that what are you striving for, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
That's a good question, and it's one that's popped into my head a lot recently, actually. Do you know what? When you get to the quiet periods, and I know, again, I think more actors should talk about this rather than pretend that we're always just batting away scripts and phone calls, because, you know, I don't know where that's going to get you. We're all working and sometimes not working, and I think when I'm not working, I can get really frustrated, because it's a real release, and it's so fun to commit yourself to playing with someone else, or becoming someone else, to use a bit more of a cliche phrase. And I think when you do it, you remember that. But even today, actually, I got a script through to have a read, and as soon as I started reading it, ideas started popping. I thought, right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then I just thought, this is why you suffer through all the bullshit, and why when you get down to the last two and don't get it, you keep going, and when they pencil you in for something, then you don't get it, or they change the dates, or the money falls through, or whatever happens, it's all mayhem. But when you get in front of the camera, whether it's for a self-tape, in an audition room, or on set, for me anyway, I just think, this is what I was born to do, this is worth it.
Would you say that you're more of a method kind of guy, or is it just like take, you know, at the end of the take, turn it off? Like,
yeah, I can switch it. Do you know what? I try and be adaptable to what if it's really emotional, I will politely, and most people cotton on, even, you know, down to incredible makeup artists who will walk over and, you know, you won't even know they're there. They just get it done and go, and they can see that you're in the zone because you're about to maybe cry or scream or shout or just hold quite a lot of emotion in a scene. If we're just doing a scene where we're walking through and saying a couple of lines, then you'll have to shut me up, because I'm just having fun everywhere. Having fun all over people. Yeah, just like I'm always sort of in between. I'd say I've never really got method, but I will have a sort of numbered versions of my character. So I always think within a film, you see 4 or 5 versions of your character. And like ourselves, we have 3 or 4 versions of ourselves. The people we talk to our mates, or to our family, or the in-between, job interviews, you know. So I'll list the key characteristics and practice the key characteristics of each type of Spencer, for instance. And then I will number each scene as to what kind of Spencer he's being. And then rehearse those scenes as such. So when I get on set during the day, I can get my sight to go, right, it's this thing, this thing, this thing. Go back to my script and go, I said I was going to be this Spencer, that Spencer, and this Spencer. And because I've rehearsed it at home and I've locked it in, I don't have to work. I mean, obviously you've got to work really hard and react to what's going on around you, but I've got my base locked in, so I feel safe enough to come in and out of character.
And when are you going to be diving headfirst into another movie with Michael Elkin? Are you working on anything with him, or is there any talk? Or
there's he's in talks for a really pretty amazing project, which I believe I'm in the loop for. I can't really give it the name away, but
no, don't do that.
If I ring him and put him on loudspeaker, we'll trick him. He's working on something, and he picks up the phone, I answer, that's for sure.
So the last couple of years, Behind the Line, the Netflix show The Liberator, Rules of War, Cracking war projects, living every little kid's dream of running around the fields shooting Germans.
I know.
What is it with the war movies?
I don't know. And you know what? The last year, I've done Masters of the Air, running around with a gun.
I saw that as an upcoming, yeah.
And, well, I say running, I was stuck in the bottom of a plane with my knees next to my ears. I was a turret gunner, so I was actually just like that.
That sounds awesome.
And I just did the Halo series as well. So all I do is run around with guns. That's it. That is all I'm good for. I don't know. I think maybe what they've found is my weird niche. He'll say the odd bit, run around with a gun, whether it's on this planet or not. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Maybe it's my haircut.
but like, how do you? So obviously, like, you're talking about sort of break to be someone. You're kind of just sort of walking around and you're doing like the lines and the dialogue and all that. Very dialogue-driven movies. And of course, the war movies as well, you do have dialogue in them, but for the most part, you're physically running around, fighting and everything like that. How do they differ and what's more fun?
Do you know what? You're going to be surprised. It's so much more fun. Doing the action stuff, right? It's fun because you're getting a bit of exercise and you're running around. But like, take 9 of running for a shot and going,
yeah,
you're bored off your nut. You really are. When you get to actually have a conversation and act and think about the path that your character's on and the theme of the scene and all this stuff, that's the stuff, man. That's when it's really fun. And when you finish your day and go, we've acted today. You know, but yeah, the action stuff, great fun for the first few takes. And if you're doing something different, like a fight scene, good fun. But yeah, running in and out with a gun or standing all day with a gun, I make it sound like it's a difficult job. It's not. But, you know, it does get a bit tedious when you're not actually doing any acting. You're sort of trying to look.
That's the thing. You're an actor. You want to act, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do want to run around with a gun occasionally. But I did something really silly recently on. I'll give you a quick story if you've got time.
Of course.
We were doing the gun training for Halo, and I've done gun training on quite a few things now. In fact, the last time I did it was for that Half Bad series. It's not called that anymore. Netflix called it something else. The Bastard Son and Devil Himself.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And they've got an SAS guy training us, so we've done a bit of gun training, and he's, you know, saying like contact left, contact right. I'm like, nailed it. And then when we get to Halo, we go to this massive gym because obviously this is a paramount, huge budget thing.
Yeah.
And I got this American guy there, and he says, "Have any of you guys done gun training before? Any of you handle a firearm?" And I'm like, yeah. And he's like the coolest guy in the world. And I've gone, yeah, done it loads of times. Don't know why I said that. No need to say it. And the other 2 blokes I was with were like, oh, confident. And he's like, okay, so handle this pistol. And I've got up and he's just, no. Just the amount of no's that were thrown at me were unbelievable. I was doing it all wrong because no one had really ever looked at me doing it. They just sort of gone, yeah, you're fine. Turns out I'm shit. Really embarrassed myself in front of like a...
Just getting up and you're like, yeah, I've shot loads of Germans.
Yeah. I actually won the war at one point. I don't know if you saw.
Exactly. The Liberator. I just want to ask a quick little question about that because I thought that show, the way they did it with the, what did they call it? Trioscope or trioscope?
Trioscope, yeah.
The animation on top of the live action. How did that work for you guys on set when filming that? Was it just you guys did it normal or did you have to do like the mocap kind of thing?
So the main difference for us was the makeup. I wonder if I can get this. Hang on, let me see if I can get it down. I can. Right. So look how handy this is. So if you can see our eyes here, there's like mascara around it, and you can see on the costumes and the guns, there's like black lines and everything, and white lines drawn on it. That's actually the badge that was on the costume there. A little side note right there. But yeah, so that was the only difference for us, other than we would just be on blue screen. So we would get lined up in terms of there'd be lines on our costumes, around our eyes, on our hands, something for them to draw over. And then we'd go onto a big blue screen where there'd be big blue blocks that look like tanks or big blue blocks that look like walls. And we would just like, you know, there'd literally be a guy there going with a wood block for when a gun goes off and stuff like that. So it was complete make believe in that sense. But it was. Other than that, it was just pretty much acting like we were on a stage.
What did you think of it? Like how it came out? Were you expecting it to look quite like that?
I thought it was so cool. It was like a graphic novel, but on the moon.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really, really liked it. Actually, again, that was one of the things that I can watch. I'm only especially because you can get into the first two, and we didn't know anything about the first two. I think I read them briefly, but I knew I wasn't in. So the first group went out there to Poland where we shot their first two episodes, came home. Apart from obviously Bradley and a couple of the others, Jose and a couple of the others who stayed out there, and then we came out as group two, which is who this picture of here. This is group two. Did those two episodes, which meant when we went home, we didn't really know anything about the first two, so you could watch the first two, get into it, which I very much did, and then enjoy the second two because then you sort of come in halfway through a story. So I found that more enjoyable to watch actually.
You've kind of already touched on this a little bit, but one of the things that, and I've already touched on it a little bit as well, is that in most of the movies that are reviewed that you're in, you tend to be, the thing that stands out. And the Wheels of War, I loved that movie. The Last Heist, I thought you were great in that movie. A lot of actors like to tell you when they watch something that they've been in or they've done, they always see the bad or the negative up on the screen, and they're like, I could have done that better, I could have said that better. But I want to know what Sam Gittins has seen in a finished project up on the screen, and he's thought, damn, I fucking smashed that.
Yeah, that's a great question. I will think of one. I'm not going to be. I will not be modest. No, do you know what? We touched on it earlier. That scene between Luke and I in the break, but also actually there's this movie called Sorority that I did with James Webber. Funny enough, I'm pretty sure we're doing another film together, but I can't say anything just yet. But Sorority, where I'm in this cast with Emily Haig and Sophie Kennedy-Clark and Kate Dickie, who are all formidable actors, and just three incredibly strong women going at it from scene to scene to scene. And I was going in and out of this film sort of one day at a time. Because I was actually up in Stevenage shooting To Be Someone at the time, I think. But and coming in and I remember feeling very. I hope I kept up when I left, and then saw the little scene that me and Sophie Kennedy-Clark have on a bench in a graveyard, talking about a loss that we both shared. I won't give anything away. And I remember watching that in the cinema and crying and just being like, I can act. Just like
I can act.
It was sheer relief, but it was a genuine. I actually just cried. I was just like, I'm so glad that was all right. And I think I remember thanking James Webber through tears, and he was like, "Yeah, all right, mate."
He's like, "Yeah, it was all right, but seriously, come on,
down, try and get your own performance." But yeah, no, that's probably the moments I can think of that come to my head.
Kate Dickie was actually one of my first ever interviews at Comic-Con. We turned up, it was Newcastle Comic-Con actually as well, when they used to do the showmasters used to do it. Nervous as hell, so I went to the bar for a couple of drinks first, went over to her to do this little interview. Just the nicest person. Like, what a way to sort of break your interviewing cherry.
Yeah, absolutely. In the brief conversations we've had and conversations we've had through other people, she just seems lovely. And I actually know, and I won't say her name, but an actor I worked with wrote her a letter once asking for advice because they were both Scottish actors, and it was just an email out of the blue because I think they shared an agent or something, and Kate wrote back a 4-page email of reassurance and advice to a person she's never met. Just think, wow, no one sees that. You're not doing that because you want people to say you're nice. You're just fucking lovely. Clearly. Amazingly talented.
But you've worked with some great talent over the years so far, and I mean, like you say, you've Rutger Hauer, David Yip. You worked with some absolute phenomenal talent. Who have you kind of been a little sponge to and just sort of sucked up to and taken some knowledge from the most, do you think?
It's funny you bring up David Yip, because he was certainly, we did a couple of scenes in Break where I thought, wow, he's just on point, and he was doing a film show at the same time as filming it, so he was just on it, and I just thought that was amazing. Grant Masters, I think I sponged up a lot from. Do you know what? I've got this thing. I think you can learn something from anyone. I really do think there's just moments that you remember that you think that's something that I'd love to be able to do. But yeah, I can't really think in particular if there's people that I've sort of like looked at and gone, I'm going to emulate you. But there's certainly actors I've been around where I thought, God, you're just fantastic, aren't you? Sophie Stevens actually in Break was brilliant.
You worked with some real talent, and it can only make you better, and it can only elevate your performance. So that's what's great to see, because you always seem to, as far as I can tell and as far as I've seen, you always seem to reach that next sort of level and just keep leveling up, which is just it's exactly what you want to see.
So I really appreciate it.
You do have a movie, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, currently doing the rounds. The Last Heist is out. It's a Cos Green Up movie. Talking about leveling up. Cos is somebody that I've been watching for a few years now. And then there you are in The Last Heist. And again, being just brilliant. But one of the main questions I wanted to ask about your part in that movie as Prozac is the relationship and the chemistry that you had on set with Daniel O'Reilly. You guys are kind of the comic relief, the little bit of, but when it gets serious, it also gets serious. And of course, Daniel O'Reilly is Dapper Laughs, so you're not necessarily expecting this performance. I know he's done a couple of other movies that I've seen that I quite liked him in, but what was it like going head to head with someone like that?
I really like the guy, actually. I think what was really nice about him was that he was there to learn and there to kind of give his all to acting. And it was quite funny because he would always say that he'd learnt things off me in scenes, which is really humbling and lovely to hear. But then, there was like you mentioned, the comic relief moments where I would look to him like, was that timing right on that gag? Because do you know what I mean? I'm stood there with a professional comedian who's been a successful, a controversial, but a successful comedian. And, I just found him very, very honest and real and humble. And I think what is nice about him is that, you mentioned Dapper Laughs there, this character that he plays, and it's caused some controversy in his time, but it's also very successful for him. But that's not who he is as a person. He's this really gentle person and this really kind of humble person who genuinely, like you said, he just wants to learn, and I think he's just done another film with Ray Burdiss called Miss the Kiss, which I'm excited to see, because from what I've heard from both of them, that's going to be really cool as well. And again, he's just trying to learn and do more and more and more. So yeah, I really enjoyed being around him. Just a really honest bloke. I've got a lot of time for honest people,
And of course, you've got the legend that is Mr. Terry Stone. So of course, you're going to just try and one up Terry every step you can.
Terry makes your life very difficult because he's so funny, and he's got this ability to make jokes right up until they say action, and then just do his lines. And he's an absolute he's an absolute laugh, but it's just a constant laugh, and you're knackered by the time you go to do your work because you've just been giggling like a schoolgirl the whole time.
Tell me, and the listeners, the viewers, or whatever, tell us, without spoilers or anything like that, a little bit about the character of Prozac in The Last Heist.
Yeah, so Prozac's basically, the Last Heist is all about a heist, a crew of people that pull off a heist. It's based on true stories from the writer Michael Head's grandparent, granddad and family. So it's real stories, real jobs that did happen, bank jobs and things like that. And it's about four blokes sitting around after they've done a job, meeting in a pub months later when it's all died down and discussing how the job went. And the jobs, you find out throughout the film that the police turned up at the job and it's gone a bit awry. And they're trying to figure out who grassed them up. And Prozac's kind of the character that you suspect the most, because he's the youngest in the firm and he's eager to learn off everyone, so he's asking loads of questions. And I won't spoil anymore, but he's a bit of a mess, is Prozac. I think he's sort of the youngster who he hasn't done too well on the run. He's quite slick at the start of the film, and then by the time you've got him in the boozer, he's been on the run, and he's certainly not the slickest of characters after that.
He's an incredibly compelling character, I found, and the way you play him like really made me want to know more. But at the same time, I didn't want to know anymore because I'd probably just get upset about what he's been through.
Yeah. Do you know what? There was a play that they did it as a play originally called Time. The funny thing about the play is I got tickets through a friend of mine, and I was in Brighton, and my parents had moved down the south coast, so I was near there. It wasn't actually Brighton, so I had to get a load of trains back. But whatever, these trains were all delayed, and I was late for the play. So when I got there, my friend had already gone in, and I said, I'm going in to see Time. And I didn't know any of the boys or anything at this point. And the girl said, no, you're too late, you can't come in. I said, 2 minutes, you can let me slip in. No, you can't come in. I thought, oh, okay. And it was quite funny because when Terry Stone offered me the role, he said, did you see the play? And I said, no, I couldn't get into the play. And he said, well, at least you got in the film. But yeah, no, I know Paul Danan played it, didn't he?
Right.
The Prozac role before me, and he played it. They were telling me how he played it when we were doing the table read. They were saying he gets more and more hyped, he gets more and more crazy, he gets more and more thingy. And I thought, I totally see that, but I've not annotated my script now. I've written all my numbers down. I'm not changing it. I stuck with what I originally thought, and they were like, actually, I really like this take. So I got away with being a bit stubborn about it, basically.
I like that a lot. So like when you first watched this movie, and again, no spoilers because obviously it's out right now, and I do want people to check it out because
that'd be cool.
It does kind of start as a little bit of a by the numbers kind of gangster movie in a way, like what we've seen, and then of course you get a little bit of a turn as any good movie would have. How much in your choice to be part of this was maybe based around that, like the turn? Because you're not typically known for doing the kind of British gangster movies, apart from your little cameo in Foot Soldier Origins.
Yeah.
But you're not really known for that. So was that a part of why you wanted to play this character?
Yeah, I've always kind of operated. It's not me trying to sound brave, but I've always kind of operated under, I don't really care what the genre is. If I think there's good people behind it, I think the character and the story are worth it, then I'll do it. I have actively avoided the geezy gangster films because there's just so many of them, and because if you've got a bit of a working class accent naturally, which I have, then you'll get pipelined in there and you won't get any other opportunities. Unfortunately, that's kind of the way the game is. It's not a sob story. There's plenty of people.
I absolutely get it.
It's just you just got to be a bit conscious of making sure you show your range, essentially. But yeah, it was the twist that certainly put me on it. There's something different about the film, which is all I'll say. But that's certainly what put me on it. But you're right. Yeah, I've done films that are close to that genre, but it's a bit like the horror film. People always sort of class horror movies as immediately B movies, or immediately aren't going to have as good a story, or immediately aren't going to have the same, character strength in them. But if anything, they're just even more exploratory than other movies. And I think it was the same with Await Further Instructions or Howl or whatever. I took those not because they're a certain genre. I took them just because I thought the character was going to be good for me to try out, and because I thought it was going to be a good film,
Excellent. Well, I want people to check that movie out, and if anything, just let's support the indie movies and get this watched. It is a cracking little movie. It's a great script. Perry Benson is just I mean, he's been in quite a few things recently that I've seen him, and he just seems to be getting better.
Yeah, I also think that role really suited him.
Yeah, it's perfect for him.
You know, he does a lot of the comic relief stuff, and even we did To Be Someone together, and he was he did his classic comedy, and that was nothing wrong with that. He's very good at it. But yeah, he just sort of, I thought he did a really good job on that, actually.
He did a great job. And I love seeing a bit of Barry Benson. You know, I'm a big Operation Good Guys from back in the day. That was my jam.
Yeah.
So.
And he's just worked with everyone.
Yeah.
He's worked with everyone. I mean, he's I mean, people forget, he's worked with Shane Meadows. He's been on some incredible stages. He's definitely, he's a dark horse, is Perry. He also sends me almost every day, even if I haven't got my phone, but even if I don't reply, he sends me the strangest memes. The strangest. Nice. I don't know. I think I haven't seen him properly for about a year now, but I still get tip-top memes from him. It's great. And if you just laugh and forget to reply, he's not going to cut you off his meme list. You're still getting one,
Nice. That's what you want. That's a true friend.
Yeah. He's committed to it.
And a little bit on that. We will start wrapping up in a second. I'll let you go to bed soon. But
no problem.
If you could have your pick of any sort of director that wanted to come along and put you in their movie, who do you look at and you think, oh man, I'd love to work with them?
Really good question. Baz Luhrmann.
I like that.
Scorsese. I'll leave it there because I don't. Yeah, I'm just going to keep listing. I'm just going to keep listing directors now.
Exactly. That's why we asked the question.
Keep listing. Yeah. There's so many. Honestly, every time I watch a film or a TV show like Ryan Murphy, oh my god.
Yeah.
That's a big one for me. I'd love to work with Ryan Murphy. But yeah, something like that, like something really cool and stylistic, like Baz Luhrmann or Ryan Murphy. Who just did Babylon?
It was the guy that did Whiplash.
That's it. Yeah, I'd love to work with him.
Damien Chazelle?
Yes.
Probably butchering that, but
no. I think, that's it. As far as I'm concerned, that's perfect.
We're going to start wrapping up now. This has been fun, but first of all, what's next for Sam Gittins? What have you got that's currently coming out that you can even talk about, or anything you're working on? Because you'll probably be at that stage you can't tell me anything about everything.
I'm doing a few cool scenes in Halo, and I've done some ADR for Master of the Air, so I know I'm in it. But it's like 150 people in that cast, so the days of filming and the weeks of filming I did may add up to a few seconds. Who knows? Yeah, that's what I've got coming out. And in terms of what I'm filming next, to be really brutally honest, I'm sort of at this stage where we and my agent Lorna, who is just amazing over at United, has just said, look, it's time to step back and not concentrate on volume as much. The next thing needs to be something of note. So so I'm sort of being a good boy and being patient, and sadly turning some projects down, but we'll see. Which I'm manifesting that the right thing is going to turn up this year for me.
Thing is, though, and you do seem a little bit down about that, by the way, because I know you want to be
yeah. I'm just a big kid. I just want to run about doing stuff all the time.
Well, exactly. You want to be running around fields killing Germans. So, but at the end of the day, that's a big step, and that's what you've been aiming for, and it's what you want to be doing, and it's exactly what you should be doing. So it's great to hear that that's the path. Thanks. And that's what we're doing now. Before we head out, do me a favor and let everyone know who's watching, listening, the 10 people out there. Let them all know. I am quite self-deprecating, by the way, but let the guys all know where they can find you on the social media, where you are, and how they can. Movies they can see you in right now, and just where they can find Sam Gittins.
Where can you find me? Well, this is my address. No, I'd say I'm on Instagram as Sam D Gittins. That's kind of the only place. But if you go there, you'll be disappointed. I just put pictures of boxers and Luton Town up. It's very rare that I remember to do any proper promotion. But I know right now you can go and see The Last Heist, or Break, or Wolves of War. I'm forgetting my own film names now. I'm pretty much all over Amazon and Netflix and stuff. So yeah, feel free to check me out. But just make sure you check out the Nerdly podcast. That's all I'm going to say.
But honestly, Sam, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute blast. Thank you for answering my begging Instagram message. When are you going to do my podcast? Come on.
No, an absolute pleasure, mate. A real pleasure to come on. It's been a lovely chat. It's nice to, like I say, when you're in the real world, it's nice to have conversations like this that kind of remind you that there are a lot of like-minded people like yourselves out there.
Hopefully we will see each other at some point, and I'll carry on watching all your movies and reviewing all your movies and basically saying that you're the only good thing in them. But
checks in the post.
But again, everyone who has been watching this, you stuck around for a good long while. Thank you very much for that, and thanks for listening to what Sam had to say and about his movies, his careers. I recommend you absolutely check out Break. It's a great movie. Check out The Last Heist, Coz's new movie, which I'm really happy to see Coz level up again. So that's something we always try to do here is promote that. And of course, await further instructions. If you haven't seen it, you're a bit of an idiot. Go and check it out. But on that, I will let Sam say goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you very much.